Let's jump on and we'll watch the PatrickCC video that I've got kind of queued up, because I really want to watch this video and see what his take is. So, PatrickCC, phenomenal creator. I want to hear what he has to say about Jim Carrey.
Once he reached the pinnacle of fame and fortune, he realized it was all a lie. Hollywood sold Jim Carrey the dream. You're gonna be a big star. This next opportunity is going to be your breakout moment. He became addicted to this and spent half of his life failing to develop a successful career. He was desperate for the acceptance.
I don't know about that. So he was pretty successful when he jumped on, I think it was it In Living Color, which was the first like Carrey thing? Because I remember very vividly, In Living Color, Jim Carrey. He had this character which makes me laugh so much, which was this one, Fire Marshal Bill.
Fighting broke out overnight between
This fucking character would make me laugh so much.
It's almost ready, dear.
Because it was basically, he would come in and try to tell people about fire danger and fire safety.
Nice to meet you, folks. Fire Marshal Bill here.
Won't you come in?
Don't mind if I do.
Wow.
Don't mind if I don't.
Real fireman.
That's right, princess. Say, I sure have a beautiful family here.
Why,
But he
thank
would
you,
go-
Fire Marshal Bill. Now, how can
If this is the one I remember, he would go through and do like an inspection on everything that could be a fire hazard. But he would basically just torture himself.
Pipes, cigarettes, #1 cause of domestic fires. Let me show you something.
Certainly.
Now, say one night you're drifting off to sleep on the couch and the pipe falls out of your hand like that. Now you start dreaming that you're having a little barbecue, you pull out a can of lighter fluid, boom! You're off the fires! Want that? Oh, yeah.
Hey, Fire Marshal Bill, your finger's on fire.
That's nothing. I caught fire so many times I can't even feel it anymore. The trick is not to panic.
Fire is?
Friend.
Anyway, Fire Marshal Bill is one of the funniest things I've ever seen to this day.
And approval of others who were willing to discard him whenever they pleased. Yet through the power of divine intervention or just pure talent, he finally made it. He made classic films in multiple genres, generating billions of dollars and inspiring people
I still think
all
it's
over the world,
a
and
very
yet
big
he felt
disappointment
empty,
that
alone,
he didn't
lacking
get
purpose
an
and
award
identity.
nomination
And
for
once
his
the
portrayal of
Hollywood
Andy
facade
Kaufman.
reared its ugly head, Carrey did not run away. Instead, he used his platform to expose the soulless, evil industry that's praised by innocent people who don't understand they are being fooled.
Jim, you got really dressed up for
This
the
is the
occasion. You
interview
look
that I'm
good.
talking about.
Who did?
There is no me.
There's no you.
No.
We're not here. This is a dream.
It's just things happening. And there are clusters of tetrahedrons moving around together.
Okay.
This is where everyone
So
just
what's
thought he
happening in
was
our
on
world right now?
drugs or
It's not our
something.
world.
None
That's
of
the
this is
key.
real?
Nope.
So
Nope.
you're just passing
We don't
through.
matter. We don't matter.
The first time Jim Carrey experienced failure was when he was 15 at
It
the
was a
Toronto
weird
comedy
interview.
club Yuck Yucks. I stood up there and I did this horrible, corny act. Halfway through it, they started playing the soundtrack of Jesus Christ Superstar, saying, "Crucify him, crucify him, crucify him." Mark got on the microphone backstage and went, "Totally boring. Totally boring." I was 15. I got no leeway for
Jesus.
that at all. His first time on stage was so traumatic, it's surprising Carrey didn't
That's
quit
rough.
comedy altogether.
That's
The only
really
reason
rough
he
to
took
do to a
2-year break
15-year-old
was
kid.
because his family was so poor they could not afford to invest in his dream. The family of 4 lived in a Volkswagen van near Burlington, Canada. Jim and his brother John also spent months living in a tent in the Charles Daly Park on Lake Ontario. But Jim soon overcame his fears and returned back to the stage in 1979. The 17-year-old quickly transitioned from open mics to regular paid shows. In addition to growing in popularity, Carrey attempted to break into the industry by auditioning to be a cast member for the
he auditioned for
1981
SNL.
season of NBC's Saturday Night Live. Unfortunately, SNL's executive producer selected Charles Rocket over Carrey. Facing failure once again, Carrey continued performing stand-up across Toronto and the surrounding towns.
That's
the reason why
nuts.
some people rejected Jim's comedy early on was because, well, there wasn't really much comedy in it. He was merely an impressionist. He could mimic and resemble famous people or characters. His act didn't have transition jokes or stories, just impression after impression.
I've seen him do that.
Could you imagine the Fonz hosting a cooking show? Hey, right. You take your pot and you put it on the stove like this. First you fill it with water like this. Alright, you follow me so far?
Luckily for Jim, there was someone very powerful out there who did believe in him. Writer for the Toronto Star, Bruce Blackadar, raved about Carrey, calling him a genuine star coming to life. Carrey receiving significant mainstream media coverage for the first time ignited the much-needed momentum in his career. The review increased demand for his impressionist stand-up act throughout the country. In April of 1981, he appeared in an episode of the television stand-up show An Evening at the Improv. That summer, he landed his first acting role in Introducing Janet, a made-for-TV movie that premiered in September 1981 on the CBS.
I didn't think he had like a starring role until fucking... He had like that big string of movies. Like Dumb and Dumber and Ace Ventura and all that shit. Really? That was his first one? Oh, he's got 2 up-and-coming movies. Oh, God, they're doing another Sonic movie. Oh, wow. So he did a TV movie called Rubberface. Finders Keepers, Duck Factory. Wow, okay. Ah, these are all TV shows. Gotcha. Okay. But it was really like... What was it, 94? Yeah, 94 he had Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber all within that same year. And that's when he like completely blew up. And then 95, yeah, and then he had like that string of just really good fucking movies. Liar Liar is a great movie. Truman Show, classic. Man on the Moon, again, I still think he should have gotten at least an award nomination for this, because it was like an Academy Award nomination is what I'm talking about. His portrayal of Andy Kaufman on this was really fucking good. He got the Critics' Choice, Best Picture. Golden Globe, he won the Golden Globe for it. Yeah, I can't believe they didn't give him an award nomination for that. The pen is royal blue. But yeah, if you haven't watched Man on the Moon, Andy Kaufman was like an internet troll before internet trolls. And Carrey plays him like perfectly. If you ever see clips of Andy Kaufman, he fucking nails it. Anyway, interesting. I didn't think he
and drew more than 1 million
until he had
viewers
that
for
big
its
run.
first airing in Canada. As he continued to perform in comedy clubs nationwide, comedian Rodney Dangerfield took notice and signed him to open his tour. By December of 1981, Carrey was a well-known comic in Canada.
I mean, I don't think everyone has that mobility, that flexibility. I mean, have you ever thought about that?
Not, well, I guess it's because I'm tremendously vain and I stand in the mirror a lot.
What about Sylvester Stallone?
Yeah, I do.
Sly.
Hey, you're gonna go out with me, Mickey. If you don't, I'm gonna break your legs. You know what I mean?
I'll go.
Everyone's got a Stallone. It's like Arnold at
But every
this
time
point.
Jim took one step forward in his career, his momentum would come to a screeching halt. And I don't mean to bring the momentum of this video to a screeching halt, but I do have to tell you about today's sponsor. Have you heard that the flavored air category is quickly becoming the leading alternative to vaping and smoking? It's a whole new movement towards better
Out of
habits.
respect for
led by
fucking
the sponsor of
PatrickCC,
today's
we're
video,
gonna watch
Fume.
the
Fume
ad.
fills the void ditching a bad habit can leave. It's not a vape, there is no nicotine, and it has no batteries to charge. Flavored air isn't like vaping. If vapor was compared to sticky soda, Fume cores are closer to herbal teas. Fume has lots of delicious flavors to choose from, like crisp mint and orange vanilla. With flavored air, you can satisfy your oral fixation through a passive diffusion system that utilizes no electronics, vapor, or combustion. Fume continuously invests in third-party studies to ensure the safety of their products, and they are backed by doctors in the US. The device feels really good in your hands and makes a good fidget toy. I tried their cinnamon hearts flavor and it's sweet yet refreshing. Fume has served over 300,000 customers, and you can be the next success story. For a limited time, use my code PatrickCC to get your free topper. It's the perfect accessory to your Fume device. Slip it onto the mouthpiece for a softer, warmer feel. It's chewable for those who love to fidget, and it's reusable. Head to tryfume.com, that's tryfum.com, and use code PatrickCC or scan the QR code on screen to get your free Fume topper when you order your journey pack today. Carrey decided to pack his bags and move to Hollywood at the beginning of 1983. He regularly performed at the Comedy Store and the Laugh Factory, two clubs that have been
there was like
for just
there's a
about every
weird
comedy
fucking
legend
story
in
of
the 80s
him
and
at
90s.
the
Additionally,
Comedy Store, I think, where the crowd absolutely hated him and he just screamed at them all night. I think I'm remembering that correct. I think it was the Comedy Store.
performing on The Tonight Show was a major milestone for a comedian's career, and it was a dream of Jim's. By the spring of 1983, he was invited to perform a stand-up set on the highly rated late night show. This surely would have been the perfect recipe for Jim's career to skyrocket. However, following a lackluster club set at the Improv, the showrunners at Tonight revoked their invitation. I had kind of a lukewarm night, and then I heard the news that I had lost The Tonight Show. It could have been the end of me, but my brain has always had this fail-safe space that goes, I don't know how, but it's gonna happen a different way. Accepting failure again, Carrey returned home in April 1983 to rejuvenate and perform stand-up in a familiar environment. While in Toronto, CTV's flagship news magazine, Program W5, did a feature on Carrey that aired nationally in Canada.
Were you just born with this plastic face?
There's so much I didn't actually know. I didn't know that all of this kind of coverage happened to him before he got on In Living Color and then went off and did like the massive movies.
I realized that that's what my special thing is, I guess, is that I'm weird. Is that I'm rubber.
One thing about Canada is they always held it down
his whole
for
thing
Jim.
at the start was impressions and doing faces. It was like the very, I think it was back then at least, it was like how Robin Williams would get up and just have that manic energy when he performed, right? And he would just slip in and out of voices and impressions. And I think from memory, Jim Carrey's starts very similar to that manic energy that Robin Williams really did and honed.
He seemed to understand his greatness before the rest of the world did. This hometown motivation is just what he needed to keep his dreams alive. So yet again, he went back to Hollywood. Within a few months, Jim successfully landed the main role for a sitcom called The Duck Factory. Becoming the lead role in a sitcom was a massive opportunity.
This is the one that lasted one
reserved
episode,
for
right?
A-list comedians in the 80s.
Or was this the one that lasted
more
like 13,
normalized
14?
in the 90s for new talent to get their own show. This means that Carrey was ahead of the curve, sitting on a potential gold mine. To promote the series, Carrey was set to appear on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, which aired on the same network as The Duck Factory. During his appearance, the 21-year-old went through most of his popular impressions.
Jack Nicholson. Clint Eastwood.
Oh, this one always impressed me.
E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
I've seen him do it better. Like on one of his comedy specials, he did that so good and his face just contorted and it really looked like fucking Clint Eastwood was
the
in
Duck
there.
Factory was canceled
Hey,
after just one
Tiana,
season.
welcome
However,
in.
there were two
I'm
major
doing good.
reasons
How are
that
you?
led to the show's demise. Firstly, the episodes were aired out of order, making it impossible for anyone to follow the plot. Secondly, Jim played the role of the straight man, which is basically the guy who sets up the joke so the funny guy can deliver the punchline.
Roland, you want to take a look at this?
Why would
My
you
script?
air them out of order?
It's really not as bad as you'd think.
I've heard the same thing said about raw fish, but I wouldn't want to try that either.
Although Carrey was the main character, they seemingly didn't play to his strengths. He never got the funny lines, and therefore the audience didn't really build a relationship with him. But still, Jim knew there was something around the corner from him. He finally got a taste of that Hollywood dream, and he could not subside. This was his destiny.
I used to open my arms. I used to sit up there, and open my arms and imagine a giant funnel of
Good to see you
gifts
too,
would come right
Tiana.
into
I
the
hope you've been
universe.
doing well.
Honest to God, you could, cut to me there.
Well, that's the
I'm like-
interesting thing. So when it wasn't going bad, I think it was the Oprah show or something like that, where he talked about he reached like a breaking point in his career, and kind of famously told this story about writing himself a $10 million check for acting services, and he put it in his father's coffin when his father passed away. And then like a year afterwards, he was going to make $10 million on either Dumb and Dumber or The Mask, one of those two. I can't remember which one it was. But yeah, very famous story. Very interesting career trajectory, because he, like, going through this, even looking at this from where we are now in Patrick's video, I didn't know the amount of like rejection and the amount of him trying to push his way in and just getting rejected over and over and over and over and over again. But yeah, it's very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. That he still managed to break through.
Like this. And if nothing else, it made me feel more positive about where I was. I drove down from Mulholland Drive every night, that I went up there, feeling that I was one of the biggest actors in Hollywood. I was doing wonderful work that made people happy. I was, I owned all that. That was it. I guess, what I own, when you think about it, is my faith.
He decided to audition for Saturday Night Live again, this time ahead of the show's 1985-86 season, during which
I fucking forget that that's in the middle. That's Robert Downey Jr. I forget that I forget that he was on SNL. Hang on. Robert Downey Jr. SNL. Do you guys remember that he was on SNL? Yeah, there he is. Holy shit. I completely forgot that he was a cast member of SNL. That's nuts. Been well, Popey, on the work grind. Also been focusing on my mental health this year. Hey, that's very important. Very important. I'm glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. You got to take care of yourself. My God, I forgot that he was on here. You're nuts. How dare you? How dare you? You know what? You're nuts. God, I forgot about that. He was on with like John Lovitz
Lorne
and
Michaels
stuff.
sought to hire an all-new cast. 5 years after his previous SNL audition, 23-year-old Jim Carrey was rejected again. He never even got the opportunity to audition his material in front of Lorne Michaels because the producers and senior writers just assumed he wouldn't like it. But unlike his previous SNL rejection, Carrey was starting to establish a career for himself, and he did have something to fall back on. Once Bitten was a film released months after his SNL audition. However, it drowned in negative reviews while underperforming at the box office.
Wait, this is going to be the biggest side tangent. This has nothing to do with this video. I've got to show you this. John Lovitz has one of my favorite scenes in a film called Rat Race, where he's driving Hitler's car, and he crashes through a World War II veteran day in Hitler's car and gets like a cigarette lighter. The cigarette lighter socket in the car. He gets it fucking jammed down his throat and then jumps on stage, and because his voice is distorted, he sounds like he's doing a bad Hitler. Oh no. I haven't watched this for so long.
Yeah. I mean, look at this mahogany.
Gorgeous.
You just don't see that anymore, you know?
No.
I wonder what this is.
Honey, careful, that's a cigarette lighter.
No, I don't think they had those then.
Yes, they did.
Ow!
Oh, honey.
Oh.
Did you burn yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, I told you.
Oh, God.
Oh, no, sorry. No. My husband, he burned his finger, ma'am. Yeah, he was cooling and then he was waving.
Not helping.
Oh,
Not
sorry.
helping. Hi.
Hi. Oh.
I really like your dike. Bike.
Ooh. You could not make this movie now. There's no fucking way you can make this movie. Oh yeah, so the bikers attack fucking Hitler's car.
Are you insane? This is Hitler's car.
Is that the stoner restaurant owner from Friends? Yeah. So he gets the cigarette lighter and it burns him. And his wife has like lipstick that's smeared on the driving wheel. And he gets it on here. So he fucking looks like he's in Hitler drag.
Ask them to call the police.
It's a World War II Veterans Day. It's so bad. Oh, it's so bad. Oh my god. Oh shit. I'm sorry. I had to show that. It's such a good clip.
After returning to the comedy club circuit with Impressions, Carrey made his third attempt at
Back to
landing a
Jim.
spot on SNL in the fall of 1986. Unfortunately, he was rejected for the third and final time. The reason he tried so hard to land SNL is because it would have given him that legitimacy he needed as a comedian. Not to mention, he would have also perfectly fit into their sketch comedy format. But many people didn't think Jim Carrey was that funny. Some didn't even consider him a comedian because, well, he didn't
Well, that's
really
the same
tell
with
jokes. Combine that with the fact that his...
That's the same with when he worked on Batman. Batman, yeah, with Tommy Lee Jones. So when he worked with Tommy Lee Jones, he apparently Tommy Lee Jones really fucking hated Jim Carrey and said to his face how much he fucking hates him.
Movies and TV roles were failing, and maybe that was an indication that he just wasn't
Anyway,
going
what does
to
John
be
love?
the Hollywood star
Hitler.
that he and the people of Canada thought he would be. Or maybe it's because he wasn't being promoted in the right way or cast in the right roles. Perhaps Jim Carrey just didn't fit the mold that a comedian or actor in the 80s was supposed to be.
But I never make it in the normal ways.
You
it's
don't.
always the side window or the basement window or something like that. Same was, it's been true all the way along.
Was it a tremendous defeat for you when you go and audition for Saturday Night Live? Because you were on. Listen,
no,
you did
I have a
impressions.
psychotic belief system that goes, something magical is going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen, but if there's no way in, a new way will be created, kind of thing.
Most people would have given up, but Jim had invested so much into this life. He knew if he just
Thank
stayed
you,
the course,
Mr. Task
something
Force.
good
I
would
appreciate
come.
that.
And surely, by divine intervention, luck, or just genuinely working on his craft, Jim Carrey made one connection that changed his career. Jim secured a role in the 1988 comedy film Earth Girls Are Easy, which is about a Southern California girl who befriends 3 furry aliens after their spaceship lands on a swimming pool.
About this
Actor
movie.
and comedian Damon Wayans played an ancillary role in the film and was extremely impressed with Carrey's comedic talents. They became friends. Damon
That's
told
how
his
he got
brother
on in
Keenan
Living
about
Colour.
Jim while he was developing the soon-to-be groundbreaking American sketch comedy television show In Living Color.
And Damon was like, yo, Keenan. Damon was Keenan's right-hand man. Okay. That's his lieutenant on Living Color.
Okay.
That was his right-hand man.
Okay.
So he's like, you gotta trust me. This white boy is funny. He's like silly putty. He twists himself up. He could suck his own if he tried. This white boy crazy. And Keenan was like, okay, let me see him.
At a time when most sketch comedy shows were dominated by white performers, In Living Color stood out by centering Black and Latino talent, using humor to tackle issues like race, inequality, and stereotypes head-on. The show broke barriers by featuring skits that blended sharp social commentary with slapstick and absurd humor.
Dude, the Wayans are underrated. They are really underrated in Hollywood. Very underrated. I think the first Scary Movie is genius, and then you have White Chicks. You've got there was a sitcom, My Wife and Kids was also brilliant. The Wayans are very underrated.
Mocking political figures, celebrities, and cultural trends in ways that were both provocative and hilarious. Carrey was a key member on In Living Color, where he became known for his wild physical comedy and over-the-top character portrayals. As one of the few white cast members, he stood out for his high-energy performances and fearless commitment to outlandish roles, which showcased his talent for slapstick and exaggerated facial expressions.
Hell yeah.
Wow, a real fireman.
That's right, Princess. Say, I sure have a beautiful family here.
Why, thank you, Fire Marshal Bill. Now, how can we help you?
Well, it's National Fire Safety Week. I've been going door to door looking for fire hazards. Mind if I give your place a little inspection?
Carrey's role on In Living Color
I
is
love Fire
exactly
Marshal
what
Bill's
he needed
sketches.
to prove to Hollywood that he could be a star. From there, he secured a lead role in a major Hollywood production, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, which grossed $107 million worldwide. He finally did it. All his hard work paid off. He finally proved himself to Hollywood. And unlike all of his previous success...
I wonder why they didn't make more movies after the success of White Chicks. Everyone knows the 1,000 Miles scene. Yeah, Terry Crews one. Well, the interesting thing, they made more movies together. The Wayans brothers movies. So they made... Where is it? So obviously the Scary Movies, and then you've got White Chicks. Then they made Little Man, which I still think has... not a lot of people like Little Man, but I still think there are some funny ass moments in Little Man. Hands down. And then after that, I think they went like their separate ways. Like Shawn Wayans hasn't really done too much, but Marlon Wayans, he went off and did Haunted Mansion, which was huge. Huge movies. Was it Haunted Mansion? Haunted House. Which was in that same kind of like flavor of the Wayans humor from way back in the day, and then they made the sequel. Can you explain the mental hospital scene from Ace Ventura? I wonder why that stuck out. Oh, the mental hospital one. Ace Ventura as well. That one doesn't get enough love. The hospital. Let me in, coach. I'm ready.
Larry,
I'm ready to go in, Coach. Just give me a chance. I know there's
hands up, get on out of your seats. All eyes on me, all eyes on me. Hey, come on, get your fucking hands up, get on out of your seats. All eyes on me, all eyes on me. Yeah, hands down, pray for me. Hands down now, pray for me. I said, get your fucking hands up.
Thank you. That was our Bo Burnham break right there.
all psychological. Just got to stay in a positive frame of mind. I'm going to execute a button hook pattern super slow-mo. Let's see that in an instant replay.
Your brother won't be the first professional football player we...
Oh, then they're walking and he like
that
throws
right?
himself
Yes,
into
we're
the
very
garden or
sensitive
something, right?
to
In the
emotional
background.
stress that athletes have to endure.
I'm open! I'm open!
We'll have to do some preliminary evaluations, but I think your brother will fit in nicely here.
Over here! 351!
So good. Now you want to watch Ace Ventura? Oh, dude. God, I'm
His
such a good
momentum
movie.
was not about to slow
Such
down.
a good movie.
Jim Carrey was about to take over the 90s and become one of the greatest physical comedian actors in entertainment history. Warner immediately paid him $5 million to reprise his role as Ace Ventura while filming The Mask.
The only thing I remember from When Nature Calls is like the weird fucking scene. Hang on, where is it? Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls. Do you guys remember the birthing scene? Where he's like coming out of a rhino's ass? That's the only thing I remember from just how stupid this movie really got. Jesus. I haven't thought about the Ace Ventura movies for ages.
New Line Cinema offered Carrey $7
Mask.
million to make a sequel
So
and
good.
paid him $7 million to appear in Dumb and Dumber. At the time, it may have seemed unwise to offer Carrey such a large amount of money for a new talent. However, any skepticism regarding Carrey's ability to
And they
fill
all
movie
fucking-
theater
they all
seats was
delivered.
laid to rest following the 1994 release of The Mask, a comedy film that follows Stanley Ipkiss, a mild-mannered,
I still love
unlucky
The
in love
Mask. I
bank
go back and
clerk
watch
who
this
discovers
once-
a magical
once a year.
mask that transforms him into a superhuman trickster with
This-
cartoonish
that movie was
abilities.
huge.
The mask amplifies Stanley's hidden desire and confidence, turning him into a green-faced, wild, and unstoppable character with exaggerated powers reminiscent of classic animated characters. The Mask was a critical and commercial success, grossing over $350 million worldwide. 5 months after The Mask, New Line
Dumb and
Cinema
Dumber.
released Dumb and Dumber, the buddy comedy
Another
film
great
Carrey starred in
film.
alongside Jeff Daniels. Nicolas Cage was set to be Carrey's co-star, but his team could not negotiate a $2 million increase fee. The company was reluctant to hire Daniels due to his limited comedic experience, but the writers and Carrey vocalized their support for him. New Line Cinema offered a low salary of just $50,000, hoping that
Ooh.
Daniels would turn it down, but he accepted. Meanwhere, his co-star Jim
I didn't know
Carrey was
that.
paid $7 million.
I can't feel my fingers anymore. They're numb.
Wow, I didn't know he
Maybe
got
you should wear
paid
these
like
extra gloves.
so little
My hands are starting to
comparatively.
get sweaty.
The film was another commercial home run for Jim, grossing over $247 million worldwide against a budget of just $17 million. The stupid humor and quotable lines, driven by the outrageous antics of its lead characters, produced a classic. The following year, Carrey appeared as the Riddler in the
Batman.
1995 superhero film Batman Forever. True to Jim's signature comedic style, his version of the Riddler was manic, flamboyant, and full of over-the-top antics, which
Yep.
contrasted with the darker, more subdued villains typically seen in the Batman universe. He brought a vibrant, almost cartoonish
definitely.
quality to the
Jeff
character.
Daniels definitely
While some
proved
critics
them
felt
wrong.
his performance leaned too much into comedy, others appreciated the unpredictable and zany energy he brought to the role. Carrey's contribution helped the film gross over $336 million worldwide, becoming
Yeah,
the
he
sixth
really he had that string in the 90s from like 94 to 97 or 98, where everything he touched just turned into gold. And I don't know if there's many actors who have had a run like that. Like, I can't think of an actor who comes onto the scene, bursts onto the scene, and has that good of a run consistently for a good couple of years. It's insane.
highest grossing film of 1995. Carrey was undoubtedly one of the biggest draws in Hollywood throughout the 90s, and became the first actor to be paid $20 million for a role, and that was to
Cable
star
Guy.
in the dark comedy The Cable Guy.
This movie's very underrated. This movie, a lot of people really write this movie off straight away. I used to watch this movie as an early teenager. The dark comedy of this movie is so good. I think people just wrote it off because he's doing like that silly like lisp voice for the entire thing, but I mean, I guess in the 90s it was like Jim Carrey and Adam Sandler were like the two biggies, right? In comedy.
Guy. He was among the top ranks of A-listers, alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger, Harrison Ford, and Sylvester Stallone.
You were the first one to get a $20 million movie, right?
That's what they say.
I mean, you had to feel good.
You know, the weirdest thing is that I have never worried about money. Never. Ever. And
So
I
it's
just
it never
no,
been
maybe
your
it's
driving
because I
force?
went there and I lived that way and realized that we lived on the road in a van for a while after we were in the worst jobs of our lives, and we were making money, and we decided to quit because we were turning into monsters. We lived in a van and we're happier than we had ever been, and I guess that taught me that to trust the universe.
Carrey's historic payday became a frequent talking point whenever the actor was mentioned.
So kind of like your speech impediment.
Variety
How dare
wrote the
you.
headline, H. Wood finds $20 million tab for Carrey playing scary. And Entertainment Weekly wrote, you'd be
Hey,
smiling too if
people in my YouTube comments already make fun of me enough for how I say things.
you just got paid $20 million. Although he was just 2 years into his Hollywood boom, he was a little confused. Why did they care so much about the money? Why couldn't they just talk about the art, or his roles, or his acting? His movie, The Cable Guy, was considered a box office flop.
Yeah.
Jim was not playing the role of a lovable goof, but rather an
was so dark.
unsavory, insidious psychopath.
The whole premise of that movie is a cable guy who befriends a person and becomes his stalker, essentially. It is a very dark film when you actually break it down, but it is played so well.
Critics seemingly were harsher on this movie because of all the hype surrounding his $20 million payday. They used this film to basically denounce his worth in Hollywood, but he felt it was important for him to expand and take creative risks.
Well, it's one more
Certainly
person
don't
bullying
want to
me.
play it safe my whole life. I don't want to. I think the danger is that you start patronizing your audience. You start to try to see, okay, well, this worked, so I better stick with this, and then no growth happens at all, and whether something is a success or not, you have to take the chance of losing a few people. because you do gain others.
Carrey went back to his stereotypical silly self in the 1997 comedy Liar Liar. The story centers around a lawyer's strained relationship with his young son, who, disappointed by his father's broken promises, makes a birthday wish that his dad cannot tell a lie for 24 hours.
Great fucking film.
Your cholesterol! Fatty! Dead man looking!
Liar Liar was a huge critical and commercial success, but Jim remained firm that he was not going to...
God, it's such a good movie. I gotta play a scene from Liar Liar, man. And you all know what scene it is. You know what scene it is. It's so good.
It was me!
Hi, Mr. Reed. Like the new dress?
Whatever takes the focus off your head.
What's up, Fletcher?
Your cholesterol, fatty!
Dead man looking! Hey, Fletcher! Hey, you're not important enough to remember! What's it gonna be, Mr. Reed? A pockmark, eventually! Don't ask! For God's sakes, don't ask!
All right, you can beat this. It's all a matter of willpower.
A test. Something small. Red. Red. All right? Now focus. The color of this pen is... The color of this pen is...
The color of the pen that I hold in my hand is royal blue. One lie and I can't
And
say
then just her coming into this.
The pen is blue. The pen is blue.
The goddamn pen is blue.
Oh, so good. So good.
Just do comedy roles
He's
because
a
it was
race
the
car.
safe move. And it was because of these creative risks that he made his best film to date, The Truman Show.
Without the Ace
So
Ventura,
good.
I wouldn't be doing it. You know,
Truman
Without that, I
Show
wouldn't be
is
doing it.
so
Because
relevant
Peter Weir
today.
looked at that and he went, "Here's someone who wants to take chances,
So
who's
relevant.
willing to risk it all, basically."
But a lot of people who love you as Ace and Fire Marshal Bill and all these, the mask and all of that, have a hard time sometimes understanding why you feel compelled to take these chances.
I'm not compelled. I just have the opportunity. I'm given the opportunity, so I have
It's
to.
good that he did.
You know?
It's very good that he managed to branch out. Can you imagine how stale his career would have been if he just sticked in that same lane and made like Ace Ventura every year for the rest of his life? It would run dry within like 2 years. But the fact that he branched out into dramatic stuff and actually learned his craft and how to act, that's what kept him around and made him like that legend status now.
You know, I'm a person who's interested in human behavior and always have been, and I have more colors than just the ones I've shown so far, and I don't negate them in any way, and I want to go back and do fun, crazy, wild stuff, and that's great. It serves a purpose. It makes people forget about their problems.
The Truman Show is a psychological comedy that revolves around the concepts of control, free will, and the blurred boundaries between reality and illusion.
Did he get
Truman
nominated
Burbank
for this?
is an ordinary
'Cause
man
he
who
should've.
slowly realizes that his entire life has been staged as a part of a massive reality television show. Unbeknownst to him, Truman has been the star of the show since birth, living in a constructed town called Sea Haven, where everyone around him are actors. The film's opening arc establishes how Truman's reality is fabricated by a media corporation, governed by a single writer. Everything from his childhood fears to his day-to-day interactions is carefully manufactured by the people behind the central show's production. Time and time again, even the actors around Truman force unsubtle product placements into his narrative, further enhancing the artificial nature of Truman's reality.
You can't stand me.
That's not true.
Why don't you let me fix you some of this new Mococo drink? All natural cocoa beans from the upper slopes of Mountain Nicaragua, no artificial sweeteners.
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
I've tasted other cocos. This is the best.
Much like Truman, Carrey and his Hollywood peers can become puppets to the entertainment industry due to the influence of powerful studios, agents, producers, and executives who prioritize profits over artistic expression. These industry forces often dictate the types of roles these actors take on and the way they are marketed to the public. Actors may be pressured to conform to certain stereotypes or be typecast into specific...
The Rock is... Can we all just agree that The Rock got way more famous than he really should have? Is that fair to say? I feel like he's good at what he does. He's good. He's good at action movies. I won't knock him for that. He was a good WWE wrestler, but should he have gotten as famous as he did? I don't know. Oh, he got nominated for Best Actor? Thank God. Because Truman Show is like one of the best fucking... That is such a good performance. But yeah, The Rock is just... I like him in some things, but
roles
overrated.
That fit commercial trends, limiting their creative freedom. Their image, both on-screen and off-screen, is often extremely managed, with actors sometimes required to maintain certain looks, personas, or behaviors to align with a brand or studio's vision.
Yeah, it was all Moana.
This environment can strip actors of their autonomy, turning them into commodities within a system rather than an individual.
It's more the Jumanji
The Truman Show
franchise,
had a
wasn't it?
profound impact on Carrey because he realized that his real life was actually very similar to Truman's.
No, not necessarily. But what I want doesn't stem from show business generally. I mean, I started out with many, many desires as far as this business goes. I've so surpassed all of them that it's not as meaningful to me anymore. I really love the work itself. I've examined myself on several occasions. Why am I really doing this? Am I doing this because I want to be famous? And I think there was an element to that when I started out. Sure. I think I wasn't necessarily seen as much or as intently as I wanted to be when I was a kid. I had a job, at least in my own mind, and that was to make my mother feel better. She was kind of...
I think it was this interview as well. He got very candid about going into comedy and basically doing it because... Or having... I think it was antidepressants or something that he was on. Might have been that. It might have been like antidepressants or something that he was taking, and it really like fucked with his mind and made him like suicidal or something like that for a bit.
Very ill in many ways, but I felt the need to make them feel that their life was worthwhile, that they did something special just by the very fact that they brought me.
He was big before Jumanji. Moana was earlier. Well, then it must have been... Okay. We're breaking down The Rock. Let's do it. Dwayne Johnson, right? Be great if I could spell. It must have been Fast and Furious then. Moana. Yeah, cool. Okay, so it was Fast and Furious is what made him really big. Yeah, because up until then, it was doing Tooth Fairy, Get Smart, oh, The Game Plan. I remember watching The Game Plan. Yeah, because he burst onto the scene, like, right as he was transitioning from WWE. His big thing was the Mummy series with Brendan Fraser. And then he did like a string of like family films. And then it was really Fast and Furious that broke him through. But overrated. I mean, he's an okay actor for the job, but
me into the world. Yeah. So from a very young age, I wanted to convince them that I was a miracle. And then I wanted to convince the world that I was a miracle. And now I want to convince the world that I'm just like them.
It seemed around the
Gameplay
early
is so good.
2000s that Jim started to see
movie.
Hollywood for
It's
what
okay.
it truly is.
I'll give him that.
Behind the glitz and glam, it's just a vapid display of wealth. People with a holier-than-thou mentality, masquerading around, celebrating each other for menial displays of talent, inflating their egos to dangerous levels. In deeper interviews, it was clear Jim was aware of his role in this soulless machine, but he didn't reveal his true thoughts and feelings about it. Yet. The Truman Show was a critical success, grossing over $264 million worldwide. It also marked a significant shift for Jim, as he demonstrated his range and depth as an actor.
Damn
he
right
even
he
earned
did.
a Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Motion Picture Drama.
No, thank you very much, Hollywood Foreign Press. I will really love this. I'll enjoy it so much, right down to the chewy chocolate center.
Unfortunately, what should have been the start of a string of experimental projects for Carrey never occurred, as the
Yeah.
comedian retreated back to his comfort zone.
Yeah.
Entering the 2000s, Carrey continued appearing in comedy blockbusters like Me, Myself, and Irene, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and Bruce Almighty. He
Yeah.
even reintroduced himself to a new generation of children through
Lemony
films
Snicket.
like Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events and A Christmas Carol, as well as the animated film Horton Hears a Who. These films combined made well over $1 billion at the worldwide box office. But even in the middle of his success, Jim struggled with depression, questioning what his purpose was in all of this.
I was on Prozac for a long time.
That's what it was, Prozac.
Yep, I was on Prozac for a long time, and I'm not sure. I mean, it may have helped me out of a jam for a little bit. I had to get off at a certain point because I realized that, you know, everything's just okay.
No peaks and valleys.
There are peaks, there are valleys, but they're all kind of carved and smoothed out, and it feels like a low level of despair you live in, where you're not getting any answers, but you're living okay, and you can smile at the office, you know, but it's a low level of despair.
And you don't take any of them, or you don't take anything now?
Nothing. I don't take anything. I rarely drink coffee. I'm very serious about no alcohol, no drugs. Life is too beautiful. It's where I hang out with Buddha and Krishna and, you know, all those guys.
Yeah, he really got into spirituality as well.
I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian, I'm whatever.
This was
you want me to
after.
be.
I feel like
it
he
all
got
comes down to
really
the same
into all
thing.
that stuff
You're in a
after
loving
Man on
place
the Moon,
or
because
you're
that was
in an unloving place. If you're
1999.
with me right now, we cannot be unhappy. It's not possible.
After winning multiple awards, generating hundreds of millions of dollars, and being considered a living legend in the entertainment industry, in 2009, Jim seemingly had an awakening through the readings of Eckhart Tolle, a spiritual teacher and self-help author.
I woke up and I understood suddenly. Thought is responsible for, if not all, most of the suffering we experience.
What is with
And
the
then
weird
I
filter
suddenly felt
on the
like
voice?
I was looking at these thoughts from another perspective, and I wondered, who is it that's aware that I'm thinking? I was thrown into this expansive, amazing feeling of freedom from myself, from my problems. I saw that I was bigger than what I do. I was bigger than my body. I was everything and everyone. Ever since that day, I've been trying to get back there.
Jim also gave a profound speech to the graduating class of Maharishi University of Management.
When I was about 28, after a decade as a professional comedian, I realized one night in LA that the purpose of my life had always been to free people from concern, just like my dad. And when I realized this, I dubbed my new devotion the Church of Freedom from Concern. And I dedicated myself to that ministry. What's yours? How will you serve the world? What do they need that your talent can provide? That's all you have to figure out. As someone who's done what you're about to go and do, I can tell you from experience, the effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. Everything you gain
He's just
in
an
life
alien,
will
that's
rot,
no filter.
fall apart, and all that will be left of you
He did
is
go,
what was
like-
in your heart. My choosing to free people
He did
from
go
concern
weirdly
got me to
into
the top of a mountain.
religion
Look where I
and
am.
self-awareness and trying to
did something
explore
that made
all of that.
people
And then you
present their
get
best
20,
selves
I
to
think
me
it was
wherever I go.
2018,
I am at the
2018, 2019 when he started giving those weird interviews about how he's playing a character of Jim Carrey and Jim Carrey's not real, and I don't know, it got very... I just remember a string of just random ass interviews that he started doing, and it was like, I don't know if it was on drugs or what fucking happened, but it was very bizarre to watch.
Top of the mountain, and I was, and the only one I hadn't freed was myself, and that's when my search for identity deepened. I wondered who I'd be without my fame. Who would I be if I said things that people didn't want to hear? That peace that we're after lies somewhere beyond personality, beyond the perception of others, beyond invention and disguise, even beyond effort itself. To find real peace, you have to let the armor go. Your need for acceptance can make you invisible in this world. Don't let anything stand in the way of the light that shines through this form. Risk being seen in all of your glory.
Carrey's career took a significant nosedive
Mr.
during
Popper's
the 2010s,
Penguins.
with his only notable role being Thomas Popper Jr. in Mr. Popper's Penguins, and the reprisal of his role as Lloyd in Dumb and Dumber 2,
Yeah,
which
Dumb
was
and Dumber
significantly
2.
less successful than its predecessor, both critically and commercially. But while promoting Dumb and Dumber 2, he had a strange appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Yeah, that's where it
You
started.
don't know what it is. You don't know what that is. I have no idea. You don't know. Jimmy Fallon doesn't know. David Letterman doesn't know.
We don't know.
All the comics and show business don't know what this is. I'm here tonight to blow the lid off it, to be the whistleblower. I'm sick and tired of the secrets and the lies. It is the secret symbol of the Illuminati, and you're a part of it, and it is the all-mocking tongue. For years now, talk show hosts, people on television, people in sitcoms have been hired by the government to throw you off the track, to distract you, to make you laugh and stuff like that, make you happy and docile so you don't know what's really going on. You know, when they get out there in the woods in a circle naked and they decide these things, you know what they're trying to do? Who? This thing is buzzing. Hold on. They're trying to turn us into, consumer drones of some sort. Hold on, I just got to get this.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, I'm in the middle of blowing the lid off some...
What happened?
I'm sorry, Jimmy. I was temporarily interrupted by my iPhone 6 Plus. 5.5 heads-up HD display. I think what I was really trying to say was I think people will enjoy Dumb and Dumber this weekend.
There were multiple sources that claimed that they were at the show and that the whole time there was no actual audience laughter.
It's weird. I mean, everybody's got those theories, right? And we're starting to see all the dodgy shit in Hollywood that's happened. Your Harvey Weinstein's, fucking P. Diddy, music industry. It is fascinating, but I don't know. There's got to be some truth. There would be some truth into everything that he's saying, right? Everyone knows that there are governments and everyone is basically controlling a lot of the shit that we see, the music we hear, all of that stuff. Everyone knows that. But I don't know. The way he dances around it is interesting. And it's very interesting as well, because I think right after this, so that was Dumb and Dumber 2, right? Let's go to Jim Carrey. So Dumb and Dumber 2 was 2014. And then he started doing Dark Crimes, which people actually, I didn't think it was that bad. But, like, there was a good period where he disappeared. Like, completely. And he went on that show Kidding from 2018 to 2020. And then he started, like, having a revival with the Sonic franchise again. But he disappeared for like a good 2 years. 2 years? 2 years in between when he did the press for Dumb and Dumber to then the 2 movies that he did in 2016, and then a 2-year gap again. Then he reemerges with the Kidding Show. And then like 2018, 2019, he starts giving weird interviews again.
And a laugh track was added in post-production to the video that was uploaded to YouTube. Some people looked at Jim's mockery as brave, that he was potentially exposing the truth and that his life could be in danger. Others dismissed this as an actor who was past his prime and merely trying to do something shocking to promote a movie. But Carrey's public awakening and attacks on Hollywood did not slow down.
No.
During his 2016 Golden Globe speech, he was a little sarcastic, but his message was very clear.
You know, when I go to sleep at night, I'm not just a guy going to sleep. I'm 2-time Golden Globe winner Jim Carrey going to get some well-needed shut-eye. And when I dream, I don't just dream any old dream. No, sir. I dream about being 3-time Golden Globe winning actor Jim Carrey, because then I would be enough and I could stop this terrible search for what I know ultimately won't fulfill me. But these are important, these awards. I don't want you to think that just because if you blew up our solar system alone, you wouldn't be able to find us or any of human history with the naked eye. But from our perspective, this is huge.
Coincidentally, at the same time Jim was outwardly speaking about his spiritual awakening and calling out the horrors of Hollywood, he was also in the middle of some pretty dark times.
Yeah,
with shocking
the
allegations
girlfriend
against him that he...
Yeah, so he went through that weird bout with his girlfriend that died. I don't know if any of you remember this. It was weird. Jim Carrey. So he was facing like a wrongful death lawsuit because his girlfriend overdosed. Or something weird like that. It was very strange. Because it came so out of left field, it felt like. Yeah. And that's when he did get a little bit...
He could have prevented and allegedly caused the death of his then girlfriend, Katrina White. Carrey had been periodically dating Irish-born makeup artist Katrina White since 2012. In 2013, White married Mark Burton, but continued occasionally seeing Carrey until her untimely death on September 28, 2015. The Los Angeles County Coroner's Office later ruled White took her own life by overdosing on prescription drugs, including Ambien, propranolol, and Percocet. Katrina often posted on her Instagram subtle hints that she was constantly working on her mental health, posting motivational, spiritual quotes, or self-help messages. She was also a few months into her journey studying Scientology, which, as we learned in my Tom Cruise video, typically begins with someone paying for auditing sessions, which is their version of therapy. On September 19, 2016, Burton filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Carrey, claiming that he illegally obtained and supplied White with the powerful painkillers that killed her. The lawsuit alleged that Carrey had surveillance cameras on the home where White stayed. Before she was discovered, Carrey's assistant checked the camera and noticed White had not moved from the home for more than 24 hours. After learning of this fact, neither Carrey nor his assistant alerted authorities. The drugs found in White's body all came from 3 pill bottles found near her body bearing the name Arthur King. The suit said that Carrey got the drugs from a doctor who conspired with Carrey to illegally prescribe them to him under the false name of Arthur King. Burton's suit claimed that Carrey also sent a bogus text message to White on September 27th when she was already dead in an attempt to straighten out his story. According to the suit, Carrey's offer to pay for White's funeral in Ireland was merely an effort to paint him as a grieving good guy, as opposed to someone closely involved in her death. But Burton's suit also claimed that Carrey never actually paid for any of the funeral expenses. In response to the lawsuit, Carrey stated, "What a terrible shame. It would be easy for me to get in a back room with this man's lawyer and make this go away. But there are some moments in life when you have to stand up and defend your honor against the evil in this world." The following month, on October 11th, 2016, Katrina White's mother, Bridget Sweetman, sued Carrey for wrongful death and sought damages for violation of the Drug Dealer Liability Act. In court documents obtained by Us Weekly, Sweetman accused Carrey of giving her daughter prescription drugs as well as sexually transmitted diseases and being verbally abusive. Carrey's abuse
remember all
included,
this
but
going
was
down.
not
It was
limited to,
very
Carrey giving
brutal
Miss
on
White
him.
3 STDs without warning her,
Like,
lying to
after
her
he
about
started
it, dumping her
talking
out of
up
concern
about
for saving his own carefully
Hollywood.
crafted public image, calling her a
Like,
whore
they
and
went
shaming
in
her, and then
hard
using
on
his
him.
high-priced Hollywood lawyers and fixers to intimidate and threaten her in an effort to silence her. Attorneys representing White's family released a 2013 iPad note allegedly sent from White to Carrey, which in part read, "This is what I want. You gave me HSV and HPV. I want you to apologize for it because you care enough to. I want you to understand that however little a thing seems to you, it ruins a girl's life. Before you, I might not have had very much, but I had respect. I was a happy person. I loved life. I was confident and I felt good in my own skin and was proud of most decisions I made. I met you, you introduced me to cocaine, prostitutes, mental abuse, and disease." However, what I found interesting was that there was another note that looks handwritten that was being spread around. Yet the article was quoting a different note. Like they were displaying this handwritten note as the evidence and saying that this was the iPad note, but then there was a separate iPad note that they were directly quoting, and the two notes are written very similarly, and they contain basically all the same subject matter, but they're not the same. So how could you write an article that says, "In the letter, she says blah, blah, blah," and then display the letter as your evidence where it does not say what you just said it says? Soon after Sweetman filed the lawsuit, the Daily Mail reported that a Mr. Jose Lopez, believed to be an alias used by Carrey, filed an STD test. The test showed Lopez's birth date listed as January 17th, 1962. The same as Carrey, and also showed positive results for both types of herpes, chlamydia, and hepatitis A. The results of Lopez's tests were submitted as evidence by Sweetman's lawyer, Michael Avenatti, who also issued a declaration. Carrey then proceeded to have unprotected sex with Miss White with full knowledge that he was STD positive, including on February 12, 2013, 2 days before Valentine's Day and within weeks after learning the test results. It's interesting that in these lawsuits, they claim 2 different times that Carrey used fake names.
It's very
one
dark.
to obtain drugs and one to obtain
I can
kind of
see why he stepped away from
how do
everything.
they know this? What evidence did they provide to prove this? These are some major accusations and not enough evidence to back it up. And because of that, the wrongful death lawsuit against Carrey had been dismissed in February of 2018.
fucking hard
There seemingly
without
was a settlement
without a
outside
lot of
court.
proof,
Without
to
a
be honest,
trial,
and before
we
the
won't
case
really know
even
what
happened.
But blaming someone else's death, especially in the way that it happened, on someone else is definitely a complicated situation. Typically, those types of deaths are not caused by just one thing, but rather a potential lifetime of issues that unfortunately we just don't seem to know how to solve. But by this point, Jim had experienced all of the glory and wrath Hollywood can offer. They love you, then criticize you, then put you in a box and determine who you are. They might even accuse you of committing horrible crimes. But the trade-off is that they give you millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. And it was abundantly clear in 2017 that Jim was fed up with the Hollywood game. Notably in his New York Fashion Week red carpet interview, where he made a bunch of existential philosophical pronouncements.
No. I'm doing just fine. I just, there's no meaning to any of this. So I wanted to find the most meaningless thing that I could come to and join, and here I am.
They're
I mean, you got to admit, it's completely meaningless.
Well, they say they're celebrating icons inside.
Celebrating icons. Boy, that is just the absolute lowest aiming, possibility that we could come up with. I don't believe in icons. I don't believe in personalities. I believe that peace lies beyond personality, beyond invention and disguise, beyond the red S that you wear on your chest that makes bullets bounce off. I believe that it's deeper than that. I believe we're a field of energy dancing for itself.
Jim, you got really dressed up for the occasion. You look good.
No,
Was that an accident?
I didn't get dressed up.
Who did?
There is no me.
There's no you.
No.
We're not here. This is a dream.
It's just things happening. And there are clusters of
This reporter
tetrahedrons
had
moving
no
around
idea
together.
how to handle
So
this.
what's happening in our world right now? Because there is a lot of news that actually is relevant that's not that
Here's the
uplifting.
thing. It's not our world.
None
That's
of this
the
is
key.
real?
Nope.
So
Nope.
you're just passing
We don't
through.
matter. We don't matter.
Oh, wow.
There's the good news.
While some headlines questioned his sanity, others felt like he was just experiencing an ego death, something that a lot of people in Hollywood could probably benefit from.
I think that we're all, we're all trying to add things to ourselves so that we can finally define
I don't know,
define
because
ourselves. And
he went
then
on like
everybody
this
will get us
weird
and they'll go,
spiritual
"Okay,
journey.
this is what you are." And then
I don't know
you
if he's
actually
just
get there,
attained
you will find it
meaning
so
outside
empty
of
that you'll realize
his
that's really not
celebrity,
what it's about. It's
and whether
about
that's what
not
people
only,
find
just
weird
going with the
about
flow,
it.
but it's about not taking it personal. It's like the difference between a house and my house is a world of difference, and it's the my that's the problem. Don't get me wrong, Jim Carrey is a great character, and I was lucky to get the part. But I don't think of that as me anymore.
I don't exist. So they're all characters that I've played, including Jim Carrey, including Joel Barish, including any of those things. They're all characters. Jim Carrey was a less intentional character, right? Because I thought I was just building something that people would like, but it was a character, so it's, I played the guy that was free from concern so that people who watched me would be free from concern.
Carrey continued to express that his identity to the world is a character,
Yeah.
not a real representation
Shit
of
gets
who
deep,
he
man.
actually is. As an actor, you play characters, and if you go deep enough into those characters, you realize your own character is pretty thin to begin with. You suddenly have this separation and go, who's Jim Carrey? Oh, he doesn't exist actually. There's just a relative manifestation of consciousness appearing, and someone gave him a name, a religion, a nationality, and he clustered those together into something that's supposed to be a personality, and it doesn't actually exist. None of that stuff, if you drill down, is real. Hollywood will not make you happy. A career or a dream job will not make you happy. But you shouldn't let that disappoint you. Instead,
I
let
think
it
he
free
just
you of the
figured out
constraints
how
and the
to be
pressures that you or
content
society have put on yourself.
outside
What
of
you
his
do
celebrity
is not
status.
who you are.
And I
So
think
you might
that's
as well
what
try as hard as you can to do something
those
that you
interviews
actually
and everything
love, not
really
because you're
show.
searching for an identity or a purpose, but simply because it's a little easier than doing something you hate. And instead, let your friends, family, food, nature, and God determine your happiness.
I feel like, and this is something you might never hear another celebrity say as long as time exists, I have enough. I've done enough. I am enough.
Once he reached...
So true. That's the thing. He's stepping away because he feels like he's achieved everything he can achieve. Which is fair. Isn't that the reason that people like Jack Nicholson have now retired, or people like Daniel Day-Lewis? There's a really interesting, I'm not going to play all of this, but there's a really interesting small documentary when he was going through everything that was discussed in that video.
What you do in life chooses you.
He opened up his paint studio.
And I think I needed color.
It's getting kind of pedestrian to me.
And you can tell what I want from the brightness in some of them.
I think he's just found a fucking new level of peace with who he is. I think that's all it is. I mean, I agree. On the surface, it's very weird to see those interviews clipped out of context. With the context of his entire life story, though, now, being told through the lens of PatrickCC, which if you guys haven't subscribed to PatrickCC for all of this kind of video essay stuff, do it. He's amazing. But yeah, I think he's just reached that point where he's found happiness outside of a persona and outside of his fame. And to be honest, he has enough money to retire, live his life. Just let him.
We are on our final thread. We've been holding on too long, slipping now and I suppose it's easier to just let go. So before my bones turn numb, and in case we change our